evening. Let's call the meeting to order. I'll do roll call. Mr. Kaminsky.
Present.
Mr. Kunkel. Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Sagers, missing. Mr. Scala.
I am here.
Ms. Von Bergen.
Here.
And I'm present. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
I'll move.
Tracy Von Bergen, Mr. Scala seconds. All those, anybody got anything to pull off of it or change? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. No public comment, you said? Member comments, anyone want to say anything? Tracy, okay.
I would like to thank the Transportation Department for being at the Woodstock Farmers Market while we were at MCC. The two gentlemen, Scott and Bellamino, were fabulous, talked to a lot of people. So I appreciate you guys being there and kind of helping us with that move away from the square, attract people, and I think you did. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Routine consent agenda. Does anyone like to pull anything off? Carl?
5.21, just to talk about it, and then the lawnmower, zero turn.
What number is that?
5114.
There we go.
514?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to pull 5.2 just because another member had asked me a comment about it, and I'd just like it on the public record why we're doing that. And so, okay, so 5.2, 5.14, and 5.21. Anyone else? Okay, so all those,
I'll make a
motion.
to approve to all those except for the three.
Okay, Mr. Scala moves, Mr. Thomas seconds. Okay. Any other dialogue beforehand? Okay, proceed to vote. Mr. Scala,
Yes.
Ms. Von Bergen,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Kaminsky?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay. 5.2, do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Mr. Scala moves. I'll second. Okay. A question came to me about our budget amount of $550,000 for '26. And I just want you to explain that
Sure,
if you can.
sure. So,
And I understand it, but I want you to explain it so that they can listen.
right, we have Brad Cousins in here. If I go a little bit sideways, he can help us out too. So this item is for our signal maintenance and highway lighting maintenance. It's an annual recurring item. We get bids, seek bids for base items. Those bids range from $175,000 to $325,000. We appropriate over that low bid amount in order to have options for upgrades and knockdowns and some other items that we have to connect into Kane County DOT for the for our connection to their transportation management center. So we don't necessarily have a full view of all of the items that we need and what knockdowns will be. So we work through these types of contracts to have that kind of buffer.
That's the reason the 550 will
Correct.
cover that then.
That's correct.
That should answer the other member's comment or question on that then. Thank you. So I have no other comments on that. We'll proceed to vote. Ms. Von Bergen?
Yes.
Mr. Scala?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Kaminsky?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay, 5.14, is there a motion for that? Tracy moves, Mr. Scala seconds. Carl, what's your question?
How many, is this a replacement for a zero turn or the justification for it, or is this gonna improve the work time of the,
I believe-
16,000 for a new lawnmower, it's like,
I believe they're replacements.
It's just a
but-
replacement for the existing.
and is the old one gonna go to the auction block?
Yes.
How much do we usually get back on that?
Top your head on one of those? Probably about $4,000.
How often do you flip them?
Those are kind of more on an as-needed basis. We don't have a set schedule on replacing those, so those are more as needed. We do keep quite the eye on them. They take quite a beating jumping all the curbs to get on.
The one we're replacing is a 2011, just so you know. That's,
15-year program.
yeah, I mean, that's, everyone's different, I think, but this one's a
Yeah.
2011.
It's not a bad place.
And like they said, it's not a set schedule, but if we look at it, we've taken good care of it for 15 years almost here. And before we get a new one.
So on the lawn service, it's up 10
We
to
say 10,
15
15
years.
years.
Okay,
I'm good with it.
all right then. Let's proceed to vote. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Kaminsky?
Yes?
Mr. Scala?
Yes.
Ms. Van Bergen?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries. 5.21, who pulled that?
I did.
Carl?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Scala moves, Mr. Thomas seconds. Okay, discussion.
Basically the same as to Daryl, your question is, explain a little bit, we've only got, what, a dozen intersections we're monitoring for $63,000 for software.
I think this is different services, but Ed will touch on that.
Yeah, this is, you know when you're traveling down the tollway and you see those TV towers? They're loaded with sensors and they're live data. And we actually get that live data. We've got them strategically situated throughout the county. We've got one up north of west part of the county, north of Lawrence. We've got one on Kishwaukee Valley out towards the county line. And we've got one down by Genoa and Harmony Road. So we got that western side where all our weather usually comes from, fairly well covered. Then we got one on the Miller Road Bridge. And then another one at Ray Cow and Pyatt. And they're really cool in that they're those data, they're live data, they're not algorithms, it's data live. And we share all that information also with our weather forecasting service. So they're getting that live data, they're not plugging in algorithms, computer forecasts or whatever. And then these particular artists also they've recently come out, probably like the last 6 years maybe, with a grip rating. And we can set that and it'll give us an alert when our grips start dropping down that we need to really be paying attention.
Do we own this
We
equipment?
used to own them, but we have nobody here that has the time, let alone monitor the sensors to make sure they're doing what they need to be doing, nor can we calibrate them. So that company, Vicela, they own the product now and we lease them. So they're constantly monitoring them and letting us know when one of the sensors is bad and they'll take care of it right away.
What would be the cost if we did train somebody and did buy these over a long period of time? Would it be cheaper or? I don't, you think?
Yeah, no, you need somebody, probably from IT, with that kind of a background to be able to handle that sort of thing. I don't know, I think that we're much better off by having the professionals that work with these data sensors all the time to take care of that.
They also do the maintenance, Carl, too, so when a sensor goes down, they replace them as a part of these contracts. So the components here is a balance if we're trying to do our own services, the materials and the labor. And as Ed was saying, they're the pros at this. They're gonna be better at it than us coming up with something to
Paul?
As you said, it's integrated with the weather, because you got it on the western face of our county. And then these seem to be more in the center, if you will.
Right.
But the last two, right?
Yeah,
So
well, one's in the Miller Road Bridge and then Breakout Road. Yeah. We do have, but if you remember, we do have 10 other sensors out there that do give us the data, but that's all algorithm driven. But every little bit helps that we can see our roads, in particular, all the blowing spots that we have throughout the county, that we can continually monitor instead of, it helps us out tremendously, just to be more efficient in that, you know, we're not all jumping on pickups and going.
My audio's not working.
Roads out there.
Are there cameras in this?
Is what?
There it is.
Video in those too? Cameras?
There's
Can you see
camera-
the roads?
Yeah,
You-
yeah, we
okay.
can see the roads on all of it, yep.
I didn't know that.
And you talk about the grip, that's if it's getting icy?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
that's the
saying?
friction between the tire and the roadway. That's the rating that we're getting, and that's, we only got it on those 5 sensors, but it's a huge benefit to us to know what's actually going on out there. If, say, we do take a look at one of those other sensors or video programs that it looks questionable, the grip ratings, they tell the real story for us.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so, proceed to vote. Ms. Van Bergen?
Yes.
Mr. Scala?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Kaminsky?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So that concludes moves us to new business, staff recognition.
Well, you want to start, Ed?
I will, maintenance, and be glad to start, and I'm
Mhm.
refer to that. This is the maintenance superintendent.
Good morning. So I'm going to kind of reintroduce staff here. If you remember, Andy Rose retired a couple months ago, and we kind of have a snowball effect in maintenance, showing transfers and promotions. So Austin, come on up. This is Austin Cruzy. He was previously our vegetation supervisor. He has switched over on August 11th and took Andy's position as the sign shop supervisor. Austin's been with the county for over 11 years. He came to us from Coral Township. At the DOT, he's worked on the sign shop crew and the vegetation crew. He's exceeded our expectations and has developed strong leadership skills during those 11 years. He has great relationships with everybody here at the county, and he's earned the respect of the crew, which is very important when you're a supervisor. Austin's a key part of my team. He and his fellow supervisors rotate snow desks during the winter. Those responsibilities of running operations with the crews in the field. He maintains the liquid tank farm responsibilities. For the county, we average about 500,000 gallons per year, so that's been very high. Austin is very heavily involved in teaching sensible salting for the county programs. He teaches for the APWA Road Scholar program, and new this year, we went to Tasman County. Austin was a duty officer and is currently a Region 3 Director for Implement. Please join me in congratulating Austin.
I just want to thank you for this opportunity and look forward to learning and growing within my future here at the DOT as I learn these new responsibilities. Thank you.
Okay.
Zach? This is Zach Hay. So Zach is currently the crew leader for Austin on the vegetation crew, who has now been promoted to vegetation supervisor. Zach has been with the county for 24 years. He started, I think, in the sign shop. He's worked on the vegetation crew and back and forth to the sign shop. Zach is always one that'll say, I'll do that. He will step up and do it. He's learned every aspect of the maintenance department. He was the first one to say, I'll take the liquid route. So, you know, we are running liquid routes in the county, so he was the first one to do that. He makes the brine, keeps the tanks loaded here and at the satellites. He's going to also step when we start teaching the sensible salting. He'll be very handy for the liquids. He's done boom mowing throughout the county and coordinated with the townships to help do the boom mowing. Next week, Zach will graduate his 3rd year of IPSI, the Illinois Public Service Institute in Effingham. His hard work and dedication and knowledge of all aspects of maintenance will be beneficial to him as he continues his new role. I look forward to working with Zach as he puts forward his knowledge and takes on new challenges.
like to introduce Jeff Lang. He will be moving into my old position as vegetation crew leader. Jeff started at DOT 8 years ago as a snowbird and then was hired on full-time. Jeff has an extensive background in tree clearing, tree trimming, and herbicide spraying. Jeff is an experienced carpenter and woodworker, and he ran his own business for 28 years building kitchen cabinets and other projects. Jeff is very functional. He volunteers to help other entities through ICWAMAN, and he has also built several in-house projects to help save the county money. Jeff is eager to share his knowledge and is looking forward to the mentoring challenge. And I look forward to working with Jeff and exploring his ideas as the veg group continues to grow. So, please join me.
That's gonna be a tough act to follow.
It is.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bob Hensel, road maintenance supervisor here at the DOT for the road crew. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Bryson Calvin. Bryson became the crew leader for the road crew back in June of 2025. Bryson is a 2006 graduate of Indiana University, where he majored in psychology, and he also has a minor in outdoor resource management. That really is. Yep. Prior to working here at the DOT, Bryson worked for the McHenry County Conservation District. Bryson takes a very active role in the road crew day-to-day operations, where he assigns work to his co-workers, travels county roadways, and identifies future work that needs to be completed. And he also follows up on the work that is being done to make sure that it is completed before moving on to the new task. Bryson always demonstrates a positive attitude, has a good work ethic each day to his coworkers and his supervisors. So join me in congratulating Bryson on his promotion as a crew leader.
Noemi Baker Cisneros just joined us as our accounting assistant. She came from us from Chartery. And I think we were there a little over a year. She was recently married in May of this year, and she then started a small business in July of this year. She makes custom and personalized gifts and party favors. She's currently a student at Roosevelt University through McHenry County Community College, working towards her bachelor's degree in business administration with a specialty in finance. She enjoys reading fiction and fantasy books in her free time, and she likes also doing strength training exercises. Please join us in welcoming her.
Admin is all done?
Yeah, that's it for us.
Joyce, can you introduce Ray, and then we'll have the proclamation read.
Sure.
Introduce me.
This is Ray Eats. He's been with the county.
23 years, 4 months, and 12 days.
Not that anyone's
He
counting.
has formally announced he's retired on January 6th. And we do have a proclamation.
And honoring Ray's service, we do have a proclamation moving forward. Chairman Kearns is going to read that for everybody now.
Okay, proclamation honoring McHenry County Division of Transportation Permit and Development Manager Raymond Beats. That's not your age next to it here. 82 it says. Whereas Raymond Beats has served the McHenry County Division of Transportation with exceptional dedication and professionalism as Permit and Development Manager for the past 23.6 years, and whereas throughout his tenure, Raymond Beats has exemplified the highest standards of accountability, integrity, and respect for the McHenry County organization. And whereas Raymond Beats has gone above and beyond to assist applicants with their permitting needs in a professional manner, leaving no question to the next steps of the permit process while focused on achieving a successful outcome. And whereas he has been instrumental in the development of the access ordinance as it stands today, helping mold it through its infancy to the document we utilize today, as well as being involved in the recommended revisions to adjust to changing conditions the county needs. And whereas in his spare moments, Raymond has shared his interest in Revolutionary War history, Special Olympics cycling, and competitive Purdue College basketball. And whereas the McHenry County Board wishes to express their deepest gratitude for Raymond Beats for many years of exemplary service, and therefore be it proclaimed by the County Board of McHenry County, Illinois, that it hereby recognizes and honors Raymond Beats for his outstanding contributions to McHenry County Division of Transportation and the people of McHenry County, and extends heartfelt congratulations and best wishes for a well-earned and fulfilling retirement. Dated Woodstock, Illinois, the 21st day of October, 2025. Congratulations on your retirement, and I have to say a little bit, Ray was the first, before I was on the board, was the first contact I had with the Division of Transportation when I had to come up for a culvert permit. And everything it says in this proclamation is true. He wasn't anything to do with the reason I ran for the board. Had everyone been like Ray at the board, I never would have been on this board. So, I compliment because through the years you've been exactly how you were that day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I didn't prepare a speech, I'll save that for later in the month, but I appreciate the words. And things happened early in my life. I was widowed when I was 35, 36 years old many years ago, so I never thought I would stay in a position like this long, but hopefully I've done the county and citizens of McHenry County proud. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Is that a Lowe's gift card to go
Old business staff reports.
So, yeah, before I hand it over to planning for their PTAC update, I just wanted to make the committee aware. CFO Carrie Wise informed me that we want to make a budget adjustment for FY26. It's a minor budget adjustment. Long story short, our sign materials bid came in lower than expected, which you just approved today on the agenda. That actually frees up money that we'd like to redivert towards purchasing more message boards. Those are the message boards you see out on the side of the road that you can put different types of language on there. We're seeing a greater need for additional message boards for events, for construction projects, things like that, just to make the public more aware of what's going on out on the roads. So what I requested of Carrie is that we move $60,000 from main account 519 over to 6040, which is how we purchase the message board. So this is a cost neutral thing for the budget next year for us. But since we had a good bid result for the sign materials, we thought it was a good opportunity to move money over. So, with the committee's concurrence, CFO will build that into the budget for next year.
Okay, everybody's okay with that? Is that an objection? Okay.
And with that, I'll hand it over to our planners, Drew and Anna. They're going to go over sort of what our PTAC committee had talked about for the transit programs we operate next year. So I'll hand it over to Drew.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Drew Guffin. I'm the Transportation Planning Manager here at the DOT. This is Anna.
Hi, I'm the transportation coordinator.
So every year we look at our agreement that we have with PACE for operating our MC Ride and MC Ride Connect programs. Part of that is, of course, fare rates, and that is a critical part of the discussion this year. Typically, how the process works is that the conversation starts at PTAC. PTAC will provide a recommendation to you, the Transportation Committee, and of course, on from there. So we had a meeting with the PTAC back in September. September 15th was the date. And Anna will be giving you a short presentation covering essentially the discussion that we had there and the recommendation that we're bringing forward to you today.
Yeah, so,
Next slide.
yeah. This is the current system. Could you make it bigger?
Share the screen.
Share the screen.
Yeah, instead of in Teams.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. So this is the current fare system. The general public pays $4 for the first 5 miles. Each additional mile after 5 is at 25 cents per mile. And then seniors and individuals with disability pay $2 of reduced fare for the first 5 miles, and again, 25 cents for each additional mile. There is no verification process for seniors or people with disabilities. When you call the call center, you essentially it's an honor system. You say, I'm a senior, I have a disability, and you get the reduced fare. And this fare system, one of the reasons why we looked into improving it is because our fare box ratio, so what kind of cancels out the operating costs from the
So fare box recovery ratio it's a metric for understanding how much of the total cost of providing a trip is recovered through the rider's fare.
Yeah.
So typically we shoot for about a 10% recovery ratio, and as you can see from the graph on the right there on the screen, we've been hovering around 5% in the last year, and the past several years prior as well. So we're just trying to, with the result of this discussion that we have with PTAC and with you here today, try and get us more towards that target fare box recovery ratio of about 10%, which in this case is about $4 per ride, but I could be incorrect in that specific figure.
So we looked at 4 different scenarios of what we could do to change it. The original and first one that we saw projections of were just increasing the fares by 50%. So the general public would be paying $6 for the first 5 miles, whereas the reduced fare would be $3 instead of the 4 and the 2. The second was eliminating that 25 per mile fare. This was more so a suggestion from the PTAC to the meeting, but prior to the special meeting, more to kind of lessen the hassle of using coins for the people riding it, and it was supposed to be in addition to other ones. The third scenario was actually verifying the riders have a disability or are seniors using the RTA cards just like we do with the Connect program. So when they call the call center, they would be asked to give RTA ID number, and that's how they would get the reduced fare. So it's no longer like an honor system, and that would reduce the amount of people who would be eligible for the reduced fare. And then the last one is changing to a system that's very similar to Ride Lake County, which instead of one base fare for the first 5 miles and then added on, would be everyone would be based on how many miles you ride. So 0 to 5 would be $2, 5 to 10, $4, and then any ride longer than 10 miles would be $6.
Okay. And then plus 10,
Yeah.
is that enough? Or what's the maximum distance they can actually ride for $10?
So the distance-based, so the way that the MC Ride program works is that the trip needs to be entirely within the county of McHenry. So the theoretical distance, I suppose, would be going from, say, the northwest corner all the way down to the southeast corner, which, I don't know, 20 miles or so, but we typically don't see many rides beyond 10 miles.
Okay.
So we felt that was a really fair upper limit to put for variance.
How do you judge the miles? When they call in, they have an address and an address you're going, you do a GPS and then find out the miles that way? Or you just arbitrarily, that's 5 mile, or how do you actually tie the exact mile to the fare?
So the day-to-day mechanics are handled by the call center, but it is more the former, where when you call, you have to give both your origin point and your destination point, and then they'll be able to plug that into their mapping system and give the actual distance. And that way the user is also aware of what their fare will be prior to them boarding the vehicle.
Okay.
And it is as the crow flies miles. So it's not driving miles, it's as the crow flies.
Why is that?
Because it's a shared ride service, Carl, so a lot of times what happens is you're going from point A to point B, but you might have to go to point C, D, and E first before you get to B. So instead of charging somebody to go out of their way to pick up another person, drop off somebody else, you're just charged from your origin to your destination.
Okay.
So that's in a simple way to answer it.
What?
You want questions now?
Yeah, questions throughout it as you're going.
On C, so when they give that permit card ID number, is that tied, I'm assuming that's tied to a specific person, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and so what's the probability that, you know, so I have the card and I call and set up the trip, but Jim's the one that actually takes that trip?
So I'll lean on you for that one, I'm not quite certain how that, if we've run into that situation, it comes now.
So people are living in the same household, one has the card, one doesn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, theoretically, that could happen. I mean, that could happen today, like your mom could call for you, set up the ride, but the son is the one that gets on the bus. I mean, those are issues that, short of asking the CID when somebody gets on the bus, which Pace thus far has been unwilling to enforce, because that's just an added step for their contractor to have to do. There is a certain amount of that I guess could happen.
Yeah.
But I think we feel like at least going this extra step in verifying that the person has an RTA card number is just one more check that they are who they say they are, right?
Does the bus driver know who they're picking up?
They have a name, they have an address, they know whether they're a senior or disabled based on what they told the call center, but it's not like they have a picture. They don't see, it's not like an Uber where you can see someone's picture on the app, picking up Jane Doe at this address. And you're assuming who gets on the bus is Jane Doe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I
it's
guess the point is if, you know, I make a reservation and it's, you know, Mike Scala and, you know, Tracy hops on the bus.
Somebody would question that. Yeah.
Okay, I would hope so.
They would.
And there's nothing to say that isn't what's, excuse me, what's happening currently with the current program. There's just fewer steps that they would have to go through to essentially put themselves out there as, this is who I am, here's what I can give you to verify that I am who I say that I am. This would just be a matter of, hey, I am someone with a disability, and someone can get on who doesn't have a disability and still receive that boost rate, so.
And what makes this program unique is that all of us can ride this, right? We don't exclude anyone in this program. So it truly is more like a standard bus system where anybody can just get on the bus. Most programs like this are only for specific people. Ours is not. Ours is open to anyone for anything. And so we are okay, I think, to a certain extent, leaving it open, right? And we hope that the person that gets on the bus is who they say they are, but at the same time, anybody can ride. It's just a matter of what fare do we charge that person. That's the differentiation here. If you're a senior or you have disability, you get charged the half fare. If you're not either of those, you get charged the full fare. So.
Paul had a question.
For the C version, how long does it take to get a card? If you just looking to get a ride, you gotta wait to get the card?
Couple weeks. Yeah.
What if I called and just needed a ride today?
Then you pay so if you are eligible for the card, but you don't have one today, you would just pay the full fare until you receive your card in the mail.
You can still ride.
Yeah,
Still right, you just pay the $6.
you just pay the higher fare.
Or whatever the number is.
Until your card comes.
Okay.
And then you would start to pay the reduced fare at that time. And the idea is, and I don't want to steal the show here, but the idea is we're going to give people plenty of advance notice that if they don't have this card, but they're eligible for it, they can go get it before this takes effect. So we're not just going to drop this on somebody.
Well, yeah, so this conversation kind of goes more with the next slide, which is the recommendation. Those were just the ones that we saw, sorry.
No, sorry.
Those are just the scenarios that we saw, and PTAC recommended a combination of the verification and the graduated fare, which is why he was talking, like, there were gonna be two fares, and a reduced fare and the standard. And so this is the recommended fare structure, where the standard fare is $3 for the first 5 miles, and then $2 for the reduced fare, and then within 5 miles to 10 miles, which, looking at the numbers last year, the average trip was 6.73 miles. So the majority of the trips are within that middle range. So standard fare would overall averagely be $6, and then the reduced fare would be $4, and then anything more than 10 miles is $9 and $6. So that's those were the recommendations.
So, assuming that the board approves this recommendation, or the committee does, and the board does, has anyone run a scenario through, based on past data, to see what that then does to your return percentage?
We have, yeah, we would anticipate approximately a 9% recovery ratio, which is just shy of that 10%. But there are some assumptions there that allow that to be within a range of an additional percent. So maybe as low as 8, as high as 10, but
Okay,
that's what we're anticipating based on what came out of PTAC's recommendation.
okay.
Okay, is that it?
No, there was also a recommendation for the Connect programs. This was.
Just explain what the Connect program is.
Oh, the Connect program is a voucher system.
So this is our Uber subsidy program. So shifting gears away from ordering a bus to help get you to and from wherever you need to go. This is a program where we essentially apply an Uber voucher to an individual's Uber account. This program is not open to the general public. This is specifically only for folks who are over the age of 60, have a disability, or have an ADA paratransit card. So we do go through that verification process with them. We receive that ID, and then there's some additional vetting to make sure that the name and contact information that we were provided lines up with the Uber account that we were going to be applying this voucher to. So it's been a very popular program over the past year that it's been operating. But we do want to make a few changes here just to kind of make sure that we're providing as many rides to as many people as possible, rather than a very large number of rides to a very small number of people, trying to again maximize that benefit available to riders in McHenry County. So the recommendation that we received from PTAC, which is exactly what we provided to them for a basis of discussion, was to increase the amount that was paid by the rider, that sort of base fare, if you would, from $4 to $5. And then the county would cover up to $15 rather than $16, which is current. And then anything over $20, you would put back on the responsibility of that rider. So shifting essentially $1 from the county subsidy back over onto the rider's responsibility, which would allow us to provide several thousand more rides in theory. There was also that frequency component to it. Give you a little bit more background, we based the initial maximum limit on the number of rides you could use this voucher for on what the RTA does or what PACE does with a similar program that they offer. They recently changed theirs, so their maximum was formerly 8 trips per day, which is currently what Connect is at. We're looking to reduce that. 8 trips per day is rather excessive in our opinion, but trying to bring it down to a more reasonable number. Again, we're recommending here as a basis of discussion 60 trips per month, which could allow users to use this to get to and from work, appointments, whatever, without necessarily limiting their mobility. But again, preventing anyone from necessarily taking 8 rides per day, which is something like 320 rides per month.
So you're saying, when you're saying a trip, is a trip one way?
Correct. So coming here this morning from your home would be one trip. Going to admin after that would be its own trip, and then from there to home would be a third trip.
You think of 2 trips per day?
Exactly. That's the suggestion that we brought here before you.
Better than me.
And I'll say the reason we're making you all aware this is where we're going is that when Pace did this on their program, they got a lot of criticism from the community. And we don't expect that the same level of outrage will occur for this program, but we wanted to make you all aware that if we head down this road, we might get some negative feedback from our riders, because a lot of people, they've had it in their life on this program. I mean, a lot of folks do use it more than 60 times a month. So there are going to be a couple dozen people especially that are going to be impacted by this limitation, and they'll either not be able to take that trip, or they'll have to find other ways to get around. So we feel like full exposure. You guys need to know what they need to if you go down this road.
But couldn't they could take the bus?
They could. And then a lot of them used to take the bus until this existed, and now they've switched over to this program, so.
I'll also add that in a case where, let's say, someone is taking a 9th trip today, for example, all that would happen is they would not be given that subsidy. They would be responsible for the entirety of the cost of that ride. So it's more of a, you hit your limit for today, so no more subsidies being applied to your rides. And that would be the same if we were to switch over to the 60 per month. So trip could still be taken theoretically, it would just be at their entire cost.
So who tips the driver? Is that still?
That's also in the letter.
Okay.
We're simply looking at the base cost of the ride.
Right.
You're saying this is for 60 and above right now?
65.
Or 65 and above, and was there also for handicap?
Yes, yeah, so if you have a disability and you're certified by the RTA, or you're over the age of 65, you're eligible for this program.
Okay, so you don't have to be disabled and over 65.
It's one
You can be
year.
50 and disabled.
Correct.
Exactly.
So is it like a wheelchair accessible?
That is dependent on what the Uber driver's vehicle is like.
Okay.
The way that we advise folks with it is most likely not, since this is the Uber service, so don't anticipate that. But there's a outside chance that one may have that. Again, no guarantees.
And that's why it's so important that this program exists in conjunction with the other program we talked about, the bus program. Because the bus program is fully accessible. Every single one of those vehicles has a wheelchair lift to get the wheelchair on the bus. So we can't think about these independently, they have to be thought about together as one unified service, right? It's just, this is an option for those that don't need the wheelchair accessibility feature.
Does the Uber driver know that they are driving under this particular program?
We don't know for sure, but I don't believe so. I think the Uber driver has no idea that the person they're picking up is affiliated with this program. On their end, they're getting paid from somebody, right? They don't necessarily know who's paying what portion of the trip cost. And I think that was a decision that Pace reached early on, because I think Pace was worried about people being excluded. If the driver knew that somebody was affiliated with this, they might choose not to give the ride or whatever. So I think there was an intentional decision early on to not show that information to the driver itself.
Anybody else? Okay.
I believe those are all the slides we had, so if there are any other questions, we'd be happy to answer them, but these are the recommendations from the PTAC. So we're looking for some direction from you here this morning on whether you'd like to tweak the numbers that you've seen this morning, or if you're comfortable with where they are as is. This will ultimately be something we incorporate into an agreement that we have with PACE, which will come before you, of course, for final approval probably sometime before the end of the year.
Yeah, so my team's meeting with Pace, I think tomorrow, to go over the IGA for 2026. So this will be what's brought forward unless there's concerns. So you'll see this on a future board meeting, the full IGA with both Connect and MC Ride for next year. This is really going to be the only major substantive change compared to last year. It's just the cost to the rider.
Is anyone uncomfortable with this change?
Let me just ask a question. Is it, the riders got to pay 25% of the, whatever the fee is, up to
So that'll be
$20.
up to, there's a chance that, say you're taking a $10 Uber ride, today they'd be paying $4 and the subsidy would pay that final $6. Of course, the rider would be paying the tip after the fact. So not necessarily needing to pay up to $25, but that's sort of the higher upper end.
And then on the flip side, we've had some Uber rides on this program that have been over $100. So the rider would pay 90, let's say $86 of that. We, the county, would pay 16, right? So the percentage of the cost share changes based on the cost of the ride. Now, the weird thing is, we as the county don't know how much that Uber ride cost in totality. All we can see is origin, destination, so we know generally how long these trips are going to be, which we can then make assumptions around cost. But all we see is how much of the county subsidy is applied to that trip. So we'll see, most of the time, a lot of the time, we'll see a $16 subsidy applied. Some of the time, it's less than that. Sometimes it's $1. I've seen some trips where it was a $5 Uber ride, or $5 Uber ride. The rider paid $4, we paid $1. Like that happens quite a bit too. So really depends on the type of ride that's taken.
But this program isn't limited to just McHenry County.
No, it's not.
So either your origin or your destination will need to be in McHenry County. So if you're coming from, let's say, Elgin, and you're going up to one of the shops along Randall Road, that would be eligible for this subsidy since you are ending in McHenry County. Likewise, I think we had a ride that was taken out to O'Hare from somewhere around here. That would also technically be eligible. But if you were going from Elgin to O'Hare, you wouldn't be given a subsidy for that. So as long as geographically start or end within the county, that subsidy is applied.
I think the longest trip I saw applied was up to Midway. Somebody rode this all the way from McHenry County to Midway, which is probably $150 Uber ride if I had to guess. Maybe not that much, but it's over $100 for sure. The county paid 16, so we just gave them a little bit of a discount on their Uber ride, right? And again, we don't test income, so a lot of the folks that ride this might be pretty well off, and they're used to taking a $100 Uber ride to Wrigley or whatever else, But if the county's gonna pay up to $16, why not?
I'm not 65 yet, so I can't do that.
I'll also add that,
No, he said 65.
Oh, 65.
that was my mistake, it is 65. I'll also add that the average trip length is about 10 miles. So we're not typically seeing these long haul journeys into the other parts of suburbia here. It's typically folks that are staying in and around McHenry County.
We're seeing slightly longer trips on this one compared to the bus program, but not substantially different. It's most people are using it to get around town. I've seen a lot of trips on this program, they take it to get across the street. For example, in Crystal Lake on US 14, a lot of times you can't cross safely, especially if you're in a wheelchair or you're some kind of disability, whether you're visually impaired or whatever else, you don't feel comfortable getting across this 6-lane expressway of a road. So they take it from one side of 14 to the other. That's a pretty common thing that we see both on this program and our bus program. So that that goes to the fact that we're focused on transit, but we also have to be thinking about what are ways we can incentivize people to walk or bike these shorter distance trips instead of taking these programs, because that's free for us if they walk or bike. This is expensive, right? So, get off my soapbox.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so there is no need for executive session today. And so I guess our next meeting is going to be October 29th at 8:15, same time. Is there anything anyone needs to talk about in the next meeting that they'd like a discussion on? To add it to the agenda?
We're gonna do a 5-year program.
Yeah, actually, Drew was ready for that. Go ahead, Drew. We'll just make a quick
I'll keep this
update.
short and sweet. Part of what we do every year on the planning side of things is we update our 5-year program. So we're in the middle of that process right now. I don't have anything in terms of slides or a really substantial update, more so to give you a heads up that coming at the next Transportation Committee meeting, I'll have a draft of our current, or our to-be updated 5-year program, looking at fiscal years 2026 through 2030, so getting a little out there. But that's on its way to you within this month, so bear with me.
And as a reminder, that's related to the budget, right? Any decision around funding sources or lack of funding for transportation will impact this 5-year program, because those are the projects we end up doing out in the community. So there is a link to what's going on outside of this committee that all of you are dealing with right now. That's all we have, Jim, sorry. That's it.
All right. I've already covered everything else. Carl,
Make a motion.
move to adjourn. All right, Carl moves to adjourn, second by Mr. Paul Thomas.
That guy over there.
I feel like what's a good name, Jim? Anyway, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're adjourned.